With NFL training camp approaching, now is a good time to reflect on the best and worst developments of the 2025 offseason.
A lot of people out there said that the 49ers had the worst free agency of any NFL team.
Let us recap 5 good, 5 bad, and 5 ugly from the 2025 NFL offseason. Good, the reinforced and rebuilt Bears. Caleb Williams' dazzling rookie season was the only positive in a dismal 2024 season in Windy City. With his job on the line this year, GM Ryan Poles made several big-time win-now moves to try and push his team to contention. The first big move was hiring ex-Detroit Lions defensive coordinator Ben Johnson for their head coaching gig. Poles traded for Pro Bowl guard Joe Thuney and veteran guard Jonah Jackson, while also signing star center Drew Dahlman to solidify the O-line. Poles also used his first 2 draft picks on Michigan tight end Colson Loveland and Missouri wideout Luther Burden III, adding more fuel to a group with DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, and DeAndre Swift. And to improve an already stellar defense, the Bears picked up pass rushers Grady Jarrett and Dayo Odengbo. Chicago was the only team in the NFC North to miss the playoffs last year, but the pieces are now here for them to launch into Super Bowl contention. Bad? The decision featuring Aaron Rodgers. It was clear from the beginning that after his release from the New York Jets, Rodgers wanted to keep playing football. After Rodgers was cut, the New York Giants and Pittsburgh Steelers were the only 2 logical landing spots. The G-men signed Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, meaning that Rodgers got to choose between the Steelers and retirement. It took Rodgers practically 3 months to announce a decision before officially signing his contract with the Steelers on June 7. And of course, the media played into Rodgers' wish to get non-stop attention and coverage during that 3-month wait for a decision. Ugly, Shedeur Sanders' draft slide. Sanders was the consensus number 2 QB prospect in the 2025 NFL Draft, behind only Miami Hurricane star Cam Ward. There was a time, however, when many mock drafts initially had Sanders going before Ward, with some projections having Deion Sanders' kid going first overall. The Tennessee Titans took Ward with the number 1 pick, as expected, so Sanders was soon to follow, and not fall outside the top 10. I mean, heck, at absolute worst, it'd be like a top 15 pick. Well, no. When day 1 wrapped up, Sanders was still on the board, and by the end of round 2, well, he was still available. Then Jalen Milroe and Dylan Gabriel were the only QBs selected in round 3. Then, not a single QB was taken in round 4, leaving Sanders inexplicably available entering the 5th round. Finally, the misery ended when the Cleveland Browns took Sanders at number 144 overall. And even that pick was a bit of a surprise, since Cleveland had already used a 3rd-round selection on Gabriel. Shedeur's stunning slide was the top story of the 2025 NFL Draft. Even President Donald Trump addressed it, calling NFL owners stupid for letting him fall that far. Good? Tom Brady and the new-look Raiders. The arrival of Tom Brady as a minority owner means no more nonsense and being okay with mediocre results. The greatest player in NFL history did not buy a minority stake in the Las Vegas Raiders to watch his team stink year in and year out. So in his first offseason as part owner, Brady went to work and recruited a Hall of Fame head coach in Pete Carroll and longtime Tampa Bay Buccaneers executive John Spytek for the GM role. Carroll and Spytek then completed a blockbuster trade for Seattle Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith, who signed a 2-year extension. And to put a cherry on top of all of it, the Raiders drafted generational running back Ashton Jeanty with the number 6 pick. So, with Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers also in the fold, the Raiders have all the pieces to churn out a top 5 offense in 2025. Bad? Team without a plan, the New Orleans Saints edition. Saints owner Gail Benson and GM Mickey Loomis have inexplicably condoned a mediocre football product in the post-Drew Brees and Sean Payton era, and it's really a shame. Fans on the Big Easy deserve much, much better. We loved the hiring of ex-Philadelphia Eagles OC Kellen Moore as the head coach, but how exactly are they setting him up for success here? Derek Carr stunned everyone by announcing his retirement at age 34. Too bad the Saints made win-now moves to affect their tank job. You know, like overpaying Chase Young by giving him a 3-year extension worth $51 million. Or giving veteran safety Justin Reed a $31.5 million deal in free agency. Or giving tight end Juwan Johnson an overly generous $30.75 million extension. Or bringing back past his prime wideout Brandon Cooks. The Saints could have traded veterans like Cam Jordan, Tyrann Mathieu, and Demario Davis to kickstart their rebuild. But no, once again, mediocrity is Mickey Loomis's middle name. If anyone can figure out what the long-term plan is in New Orleans, let us know. Ugly, the 49ers' mass exodus of star players. For a team in win-now mode, the 49ers sure let a lot of game-changing talents leave in the offseason. All-pro safety Talanoa Hufanga, top cornerback Charvarius Ward, star linebacker Dre Greenlaw, and starting guard Aaron Banks all left in free agency. Two of their top pass rushers, Leonard Floyd and Javon Hargrave, were released in cap-saving moves. Jordan Mason, the ideal understudy to Christian McCaffrey last year, was traded to the Minnesota Vikings. Speaking of trades, how about giving away former All-Pro wideout Deebo Samuel to the Washington Commanders for pennies? Ah well, at least the 49ers cleared up room to give system QB Brock Purdy a $265 million extension. Who needs all those game-wrecking talents that they let go of anyway? Good, fresh starts for veteran QBs. As much as we hated the dragged-out decision, Aaron Rodgers makes sense for a Steelers team in win-now mode. The Vikings were never going to choose Darnold over J.J. McCarthy, so good on him to cash in on a $100.5 million deal with the Seattle Seahawks in free agency. Justin Fields flashed his potential in a 6-game audition with the Steelers and turned that into a 2-year, $40 million deal with the New York Jets. Daniel Jones took up 1-year pact with the Indianapolis Colts and will get the chance to revive his career if Anthony Richardson doesn't cut it in a make-or-break year. The New York Giants have nothing to lose with their 1-year bet on Russell Wilson. And hey, it doesn't hurt Mac Jones to learn behind QB guru Kyle Shanahan for a year in San Fran. Bad, Jerry Jones's 2025 version of All In. We're on the second year now, and Jones has done very little to show that he's in it to win it. I mean, hiring Brian Schottenheimer as your new head coach after finally moving on from Mike McCarthy. All-Pro guard Zach Martin retired. Pro Bowl defensive lineman DeMarcus Lawrence left for Seattle. 1,000-yard rusher Rico Dowdle went to the Carolina Panthers. And really, is the trade for George Pickens gonna do anything? How long until he implodes because he's the number 2 over CeeDee Lamb? Nobody else can outshine me. Hey, way to close the gap with the Eagles and Commanders, Jerry. You're doing a great job. Ugly, Bengals decision on defense. Yeah, good on the Bengals to block up star wide receiver Jamar Chase and T. Higgins long term. Now, if only they remembered that the atrocious defense destroyed their playoff chances last year. The Bengals are refusing to pay Trey Hendrickson, who led the league in sacks last year. First-round pick Shamar Stewart is in a contract standoff. Do-it-all linebacker Jermaine Pratt was cut to save money. Ah, dude, come on. Just pay your guys, Mike Brown. Good trade drama. Aside from the aforementioned Deebo Samuel and George Pickens, superstar wideout DK Metcalf was dealt to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Nobody saw the Geno Smith trade coming to Las Vegas until it was actually announced. The Bears got Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson to beef up their O-line, and the NFC runner-up Commanders got a Pro Bowl offensive tackle and Laramie Tunsil from the Houston Texans to protect Jaden Daniels. And at the draft, how about the Jacksonville Jaguars trading up for Travis Hunter at number 2? The Giants moving up for Ole Miss QB Jackson Dart? Yes, sir. Bad, Texans protection plan for CJ Stroud. Houston's star QB led the team to the postseason despite playing behind a horrible offensive line that surrendered 52 sacks on him last year. The Texans plan to get better? Subtraction by subtraction, we suppose. So let's get this straight. They traded their best defensive lineman, Laramie Tunsil, to Washington. Veteran mainstay Shaq Mason was released to save money. Their replacements were, veterans Cam Robinson and Laken Tomlinson, who allowed a combined 13 sacks last year per Pro Football Focus. Yeah, sorry CJ, but your team forgot the memo about the importance of protecting a franchise QB. Ugly, the AFC South. The Colts lost 2 elite offensive linemen in Will Fries and Ryan Kelly, who both left for Minnesota in free agency. How is the injury-prone Anthony Richardson going to survive behind this O-line again? The Texans made their weak offensive line even worse and lost star wideout Stephon Diggs in free agency. The Jaguars gave up a ransom for Travis Hunter, which is interesting since they are far from contention. Tennessee's big move to help number 1 pick Cam Ward was, wait a minute, what's that? Signing past his prime receiver Tyler Lockett? Good. Long overdue rule changes. The chain gang is finally gone and will be replaced with more efficient and accurate Sony Hawkeye technology. Both teams will now be guaranteed 1 possession in regular season overtime games too, adopting the playoff overtime rule format. Expanded replay assistance for fouls like face mask, hits on a defenseless player, horse collar tackle, roughing the kicker, and tripping. Finally. Bad love for big-named veteran WRs. Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen have combined for 11 Pro Bowl nods. Both were still without a contract contract by the time mandatory minicamp arrived. Cooper Kupp and Stephon Diggs got paid, but what are the odds of posting elite numbers in Seattle and New England, respectively? Perennial Pro Bowler DeAndre Hopkins had to take a cheap one-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens. Ugly, the Kirk Cousins Falcons fiasco. The first season of Cousins' 4-year, $180 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons could not have gone much worse. His awful production in the second half prompted head coach Raheem Morris to bench him in favor of rookie Michael Penix Jr. Despite his age and hefty contract, Cousins should have been attractive to several QB-needy teams. But the Falcons never found a taker, so now they're carrying his atrocious $40 million cap hit for 2025. But what else was good, bad, and ugly in the 2025 NFL offseason? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.